1 2 1 2. Welcome back, everybody. We are here tonight for the Italian Grand Prix here at the Purple Sector Formula One League. This is round 15, or actually round 16 even, of the 24-round season. For this season, we had round 15 a couple of days ago, actually, at Zandvoort for the Dutch Grand Prix. But here we are at Monza in what is a wet and slippery qualifying session so far. But as it stands, the track does appear to be ramping up. C. Faulkner has just gone to the top of the leaderboard there, the first driver into the 1 minute 27s. And actually, no other driver even got into the 128 so far. So C. Faulkner is either an absolute rainmaster around this track, or the track is rapidly improving at the end of this session. So we're going to be seeing, I think, a lot of improvements to people's personal bests in the last couple of laps here of this session. Do apologise for the hiccups. I did have a big plate of pasta about an hour ago. So as I get into it, I'll start working around these little things. I'm going to find a way to stop doing it over the course of the next, well, probably a few minutes. And then the race, we shouldn't be having so many hiccups. But in the meantime, we got a few drivers on out laps. We've got Mark, Glenn, Matty Pitt, all on flying laps at the moment. My PlayStation has decided to fall over. I don't actually know why. I actually haven't got the foggiest idea why. But anyway, currently we're watching Mark here as he comes out of Lesmo 1. We've got Glenn, who's just coming on the exit of Ascari. Believe Glenn's on a flying lap here. Let's jump on board with our championship leader. Oh, he's backed out of it, so he's not on a flying lap anymore. Glenn has bailed out of his current lap that he's on. Matty Pitt's on a quick one through sector 1, so we've got to keep an eye on him, as Oliver's gone into third place with that last lap, but I fear he might be on the wrong tyre here. I think that he's going to get swamped at the end of this session. T is coming towards the end of his out lap. Let's see what Mark's doing. He's coming down at the back straight towards the Parabolica. And time to beat is a 1:27.9. Mark coming out of the Parabolica now, and I think, is he making for the pit lane? No, he's sticking with it. Let's see what he does. Up towards the line comes Mark, and it's 28.4 there from Mark, so half a second off of Faulkner's fastest time in this session so far. Let's see what everybody else is doing right now. Oliver's probably on the in lap, I think. Let's see what Glenn's up to as he's coming through the first sector, the championship leader here, and long-time champion leader over the course of this season as well. Matty Pitt has gone into third place on a 28.9 and is already slowing down, so clearly hasn't got the fuel to do another lap here. What about C. Faulkner coming out of Ascari? Mark coming through Lesmo 1. Matty Pitt's done for the session. Davidoff is on an absolute flyer here through the middle sector. Is over a second up on his personal best. His personal best at the moment is 1.6 seconds off for the provisional pole time. Let's see what Davidoff can do as he comes down the back straight towards the Parabolica once again. We see here the Williams driver, one of the favourites for the championship this season, missed obviously Tuesday night at Zandvoort. That would have set him back massively in his pursuit of usurping the championship leader Glenn. As we see C. Faulkner go to top leaderboard there on a 27.1, so extending his gap at the top of the standings here in this qualifying session. Davidoff comes over the line and can't go on pole position. Davidoff misses out by 0.4 of a second on a 27.5. Let's see what everybody else is doing. Oliver comes over the line, and that's not an improvement, not even close there from him. Matty Pitt's down in sector 1. That's not going to be pole position either. Clay is on an absolute flyer, though. Currently 2.5 seconds up through the middle sector. Let's see what he can do. He goes P2, misses out by 0.2 of a second. So it's going to be C. Faulkner who's going to start this Italian Grand Prix on pole position here. Reminiscent of Sebastian Vettel in 2008, taking that pole position in the rain in the Toro Rosso. C. Faulkner has gone delivered here. Can he deliver the goods and back it up here with a race win? That would be absolutely fantastic, but long race to go ahead of us to see if that can happen. But C. Faulkner on pole here tonight for round 16 of the Purple Sector Formula 1 League. See if anyone else has got a lap in here. Mark's got on P4, TP5. Matty Pitt's on the in lap. He's not going to improve, so that, I think, is going to be that then for tonight's action here in the qualifying session. But obviously we've got the Grand Prix coming up in a few moments' time, so hold your horses, don't go anywhere, because it's going to be hopefully a good race. I mean, there's only 9 people here. Fingers crossed we're going to have Mr. Johan jumping in, apparently having some issues of some description. But anyway, that I think that's that. So I think we should all be proceeding to the Grand Prix in a moment's time. So yeah, that's it then. That's a lot for this anyway. So yeah, So there we go. C. Fortner taking pole position ahead of Glenn in second, with Davidoff third place and Mark alongside him on the second row. T and Matty Pitt in fifth and sixth, followed by Rexy Boy and Oliver behind them. And Street Boy will line up at the back of the pack here in P9. G.Cilo there, wishing best of luck to all the drivers here in this race here tonight. Obviously, there's not too many of them in here tonight, which is a bit of a shame, but hopefully, nonetheless, we can still have an exciting race and something that we can all get very excited about. Here we are then on the grid. So this is getting ready to go for the formation lap.
The formation lap gets underway and the excitement here is building as we near ever closer to the start of the race. Which team will come out on top? Who's got their strategies right?
Looks like Mr. Johan didn't get in, so he's a 9-car Grand Prix here for this Italian Grand Prix here at Monza.
As all the cars reform the grid, the drivers will be hoping to get a strong start. They'll want to earn some valuable points from today's race, with final communications being done with their race engineers, ensuring the planned strategies are all in place.
G.Cilo and White Shadow both chiming in here on the stream saying good luck to all the guys. So here we go then, moments away from the start of the Italian Grand Prix here. Looks like it's going to be dry weather for this one. And away we go in a few moments' time. Lights out, we're underway. There were a couple of jump starts there, the Mark and T. I think that T reacted to Mark's jump start, and unfortunately both of those two are going to have to come in for a drive-through in these first 3 laps of the race. But Mark leads into turn 1, needs to try and make a break for it if he possibly can here, as Davidoff there has gone wide going through turn 1 and has dropped down to P9 in this race. So Davidoff has had an absolute horror show there. In the meantime, Mark leads through Curva Grande, but has to come in for that drive-through penalty, you would think, pretty soon. C. Fortner there is the de facto leader ahead of Clem, followed by Matty Pitt, with T ahead of Rexy Boy, followed by Oliver Street Boy, and there's Davidoff running at the back of the pack there in 9th place. What an absolute disaster there for Davidoff after running wide through turn 1. He's just lucky, I think, that there was only 9 cars in the race, because if there was more than that, I think that potentially he could have got caught up by somebody there, potentially a collision, or maybe even have dropped further down the order. But as it is, it's 9th place at the moment for him, as we see the drivers coming into Ascari here at the end of or towards the end of the first lap. And that is your field as they come out onto the back straight here for the first time at racing speed. C. Faulkner will be leading this race in a few moments, because Mark has got that drive through. Is Mark going to stay out as long as he can, or is he just going to get it done and out of the way? Let's see as he comes out of the Parabolica now. Is Mark going to get that pit stop or that drive through done? Yes, he is. Mark is into the pit lane now, so that's it's going to be chalking that one off, as we see Clen looking pretty close on C4, and no DRS on the opening lap. Obviously you get the DRS from lap 2 onwards, but never at the start of lap 2. It's always if the DRS zone is down the start finish straight, you won't get it until lap 3, albeit there will be a DRS zone out of Lesmo 2 down towards Ascari under the old circuit. That will be the first DRS zone that these guys encounter. But for the meantime, Glenn is looking pretty hungry on the back of C. Fortner as they come down towards the Della Rocha chicane. See that lovely camera angle there. Glenn is looking pretty hungry on the back of our race here at the moment, but C. Fortner will be ever determined to convert this opportunity here. It was a big opportunity for him, putting it on pole in the wet conditions. Now let's see what his pace around this track is like in the dry, because it can be a very different story sometimes. Some drivers excel in the wet conditions, some are just good around certain tracks. For C. Fortner, it could be both, it could be one or the other. But at the moment, he's got a slight edge here over Clem. But Clem looking to the inside into Ascari, a little bit too far away that time around. And for the time being, C Faulkner holds on to this race lead as they come down the back straight here for the second time in the race. Glenn is looking to be to put his pressure on the back of the Red Bull, of the Racing Bull, should I say. As we see T looking on the back of his teammate Matty Pitt. These two battling for third place in the background. But at the moment, nothing doing there between either of those guys. But here we go. Glenn is very, very close. I'll be surprised if he doesn't make the move here. Here we go. Pulls out to the outside now. C Faulkner went to defend the inside. There wasn't really much point because it wasn't going to make any difference. But Glenn is going to make that move into turn one and has now got a clear lead at the moment. So the question is now, can C Faulkner stick to the back of him, put him under some pressure and try and come back at him over the course of the rest of this first stint? Let's get the tyre graphic up, see what the situation is in terms of who's got what on. So we see most of everybody's got medium tyres on, so there's no differential at the moment in terms of the strategy. T's stayed out, opted to stay out on the track and not do this drive-through penalty just yet. So he's running in P5, just been passed by Rexy Boy. But yeah, T and Mark definitely needed a safety car in this race to have any chance of being a factor in this one for sure. T's got DRS here on the back of Rexy Boy, but he's way too far away. Oliver's also closer to T than T is to Rexy Boy at this point. But yeah, no real opportunities forming for any of those drivers at this moment in time. But Glenn still leading the race as they come down towards the Parabolica here. Towards the end of lap 3, he's got over a second of a gap over C Faulkner, and that's going to be crucial here for Glenn, because he knows that with that second of a gap, he's out of that DRS threat, and that will allow him to just start to eke out the backs, even down the straights, because quite often you have to pace over the driver behind, but down the straights they can just latch onto you, and it's the most frustrating thing ever when you've got pace over somebody, but they somehow manage to stay within a second every time you get to a DRS detection point. Glenn has managed to break that, which is pretty pivotal. And Matty Pitt now looking pretty racy here on the back of C Faulkner as these guys coming through the Curva Grande, should I say, down towards the Della Roja chicane on lap 4. So that's what's dropped a bit of the ground here to C Faulkner through this section of the track. C Faulkner's gained a little bit on Glenn. He's now got the gap within a second here. So C Faulkner's now starting to put the pressure back on the race leader, which is good to see, because C Faulkner did a great job in qualifying a few minutes ago. Obviously put it on pole in those intermediate wet conditions. So now is the big test to see if he can to prove that it wasn't all a bit of a fluke. I mean, I'm not saying it was, and even if it was down to the conditions, it wouldn't be a fluke, because obviously you have to be better than your rivals. But what I'm trying to say is most of the conditions that you see in these races are dry, so ultimately if you want to be consistently up there, you have to also have the pace in the dry. That's what I'm trying to get at. And yeah, C Faulkner can indeed do that here in this one, but at the moment Matty Pitt's keeping him on his toes as they come out of the final corner here to complete lap 4 of the race. You can see he's got DRS. Is he going to have a chance to make a move here down towards turn 1? He's definitely going to think about it, but yeah, he's just a little bit too far away. And I think C Faulkner has gone for a very low downforce setup here, because Matty Pitt was barely gaining at all. Only really started gaining right at the end of the straight as the top end started to kick in. So yeah, I wonder whether C Faulkner's gone for a very low downforce setup here. That could be a risky one. That could, it's one of those setups where the smallest little mistake and your race is over. So he needs to watch out. But Oliver to the inside of Davidoff coming into the second chicane, a little bit too far away just there. Davidoff holding on and got that move done up into P5. So now Davidoff can look to try and advance on the back of Rexy Boy. Davidoff's had a good opening couple of laps since the mistake going into turn 1, lap 1. Obviously was down to 9th place coming through the first chicane on that one. Went a bit wide on the brakes, and yeah, since then has picked his way off the drivers off in front of him quite nicely here. And we'll have DRS on Rexy Boy in a moment when they come down the start-finish straight. But as long as he can keep himself close down the back straight into the Parabolica, he'll have a good chance down the start-finish straight. In the meantime, back to the leaders. We've got Glenn coming into the Parabolica. His gap to C Faulkner, about 0.7 of a second. Can C Faulkner get within range here to maybe make a move into turn 1? I think he's a little bit too far away. I think you really have to be within about half a second, maybe 0.6 at a push if you can make a move into turn 1. Nonetheless, the DRS will help him get a little bit closer, but a little bit too far away. Not much, but just a little bit too far away there for C Faulkner. I think maybe you have to be within about half a second to be able to make the DRS work. down the start-finish straight here at Monza. The strange one, because it's a very long straight, but you're already doing speed out of Parabolica, so acceleration doesn't really come into it as much, and therefore straight line speed. Ultimately, it's quite counterintuitive, but doesn't make a whole load of difference. But yeah, nonetheless, Steve Faulkner has had a big moment there coming out of Lesmo 2, and Matty Pitt's going to fancy his chances here. Surely he's going to capitalise on this. Steve Faulkner's going to be down on speed as they come down towards Ascari. No, he manages to hold on there. So that straight line speed there for the Racing Bulls, keeping him in good stead. But my goodness me, that was a close call there for Steve Faulkner. Does he have damage on the car? Let's have a look. I don't think he does. I think he's got away with that one. So wow, that was a close shave there for Steve Faulkner, and somehow he's still within a second of Glenn. So obviously had DRS coming out of Glenmo 2. That allowed him to defend from Matty Pitt, and wow, that was incredible there. So somehow Steve Faulkner is still in this fight, but very close to his race going whoopsie in a very early stage here. But looks like he's dropped out of DRS as they come down to start-finish straight here. So that might allow Matty Pitt to make a move, but he's a little bit too far away there. In the background, we've got Davidoff making a move on Rexiboy, and Oliver's looking down the inside as well here. So Oliver moving up into P5, and Rexiboy down 2 places in that little exchange there. Davidoff is now up into 4th place and can now try and chase down the podium runners after that catastrophic first lap there for Davidoff. He's certainly made amends so far, but a long way to go. So they are the 4th, 5th and 6th drivers here, the trio. But they're all pulling away from each other right now. Davidoff pulling away from both Oliver and Rexiboy, and Oliver starting to eke out the gap to Rexiboy now. Although they'll all have DRS again down this next straight, which will help them all out. But looks like nobody's in a real position to make a move on anybody in front of them at the moment. They're all just holding firm at this point. As Claire leads the leading trio coming down the back straight once again. So here we go then, Glenn starting lap 8 of the race, and he's gap 2, Steve Faulkner just under half a second as they come down towards turn 1. Steve Faulkner getting very close there under the brakes, but not quite close enough. Actually, Pitt's sat there waiting, isn't he? Waiting like a silent assassin here. I wonder which one of these guys is going to pit first, because the undercut could be the maker in this one, with only less than a second between the top 3 here. Steve Faulkner or Matty Pitt, either of these two could come in before anybody in this top 3 and potentially get a massive undercut here. So, but then again, you have to go long on those hard tyres by the end of the race, so would be a risky strategy here. They've got to be thinking about it at this point, surely. Davidoff has pulled out over a second now to Rexiboy and Oliver, so he's now comfortable in that 4th place. He can now try to chip away at that gap to the top 3, but the gap's currently staying at around the same between the top 3 and Davidoff at the moment. So I think that for the time being, he doesn't really have the pace to close in. So I think he might have found his spot for the time being in this classification. We see Oliver getting close to the back of Rexiboy, down towards Parabolica once again. He'll surely look to try and get a run down the start-finish straight. As we go over trackside there, a bit wide there, Oliver, but didn't cost him any time. Actually allowed him to take more speed through the corner. As we see Steve Faulkner has made the move for the lead of the race here on Glen. Down the start-finish straight with DRS. Steve Faulkner hits the front once again. So our pole sitter has gone and taken that track position back off of the championship leader here. But Glen is still right with him as they come through Cava Grande. It's going to get very exciting here between these drivers. There's Glen here getting closer to the back of Steve Faulkner into the lower chicane, but can't make anything happen there. Matty Pitt's just watching and waiting here, patiently waiting for his moment. Oliver's still on the back of Rexiboy here. Rexiboy took that position back a couple of laps ago. Oliver's been on the back of him since. These two pretty evenly matched, it would appear. Oliver will get DRS once again here down at the straight towards Ascari. Has a little look to the inside. He's not going to make that move from there, but just trying to distract Rexy Boy, put him under a bit of pressure. Let him know that he's looking, he's thinking about it, but can't quite make it happen just at the moment. Down towards Parabolica we come once again. Oliver there having a little feint to the inside again. Now he's going to be his big opportunity to make this move. As in the meantime, we've got to see what Clen's up to, because Clen's pretty close on C. Faulkner. But C. Faulkner, I think, might have this covered here into turn 1. And he does, so DRS not working for Clen there, and C. Faulkner remains in the lead of the race. But here comes Oliver, and he makes the move with DRS up into 5th place. That's going to be job done here into turn 1. Saying that, though, Rex Boy trying to keep it around the outside here. And this could be a Hamilton-Verstappen moment here from these two. It isn't. They sorted it out very nicely there. Oliver up into P5. Beautifully done there from him. Rexy Boy was trying to keep some momentum there on the outside, but in the end, the line through there just was not favourable at all. As Rexy Boy lifted inside into the Delaware chicane, a little bit too far away there. So Oliver has that move completed up into 5th place. And, well, I think this is going to be a battle that's going to be carrying on for a while. Oh, Street Boy's got a penalty there. So Street Boy joins T. These two, the only drivers so far to get time penalties in this race. But yeah, I think that this is a battle between these two, Oliver and Rexy Boy. I think it's going to rage on for a little while, because I don't think Oliver's quite got the pace to go after Davidoff. But these guys are clearly a little bit quicker than Street Boy, running in 7th. So I believe that these two are just going to stick together here and just keep on battling. They're very evenly matched, as I've mentioned before. So I can't see either of these guys pulling away from the others. We see Raki in the comments says, "Good evening all. Hello mate, good to see you." Always a pleasure to see Raki in the comments. We've got GD.C. also says, "My guy is flying tonight." As we see Clen as the moving to lead. That's because C. Faulkner, obviously with DRS there, Clen has made that move relatively easy there into turn 1. Last lap, C. Faulkner was holding on into turn 1, but this time Clen was just a little bit too close, and C. Faulkner drops down to 2nd place. But he's not going to be too worried at this point. These two have been swapping positions left, right and centre over the course of this race. So I don't think C. Faulkner's going to be panicking too much at the moment. He just needs to make sure he stays within that DRS of Clen and doesn't drop away. Oh no, as he makes a mistake there coming out of the 2nd chicane. Matty Pitt a little bit too far away to capitalise, but C. Faulkner there with a small mistake. He needs to just get it back together here. It's a long race to go. He could maybe come into the pits here, because generally my rule of thumb with tyres is that the mediums go about 1.5 times the distance of the softs, and hards go about 1.5 times the distance of the mediums. So by that logic, if the medium's gone 11 laps, the hards could easily go 16 laps. So thinking about it, maybe now is the time for an undercut, but saying that, it's not going to be an undercut if they all come in. So I wonder if any of these top 3 are going to come in now. If it was me, I'd probably be pitting this lap, but let's see what these guys do. So Clen has now got just over a second. Does Faulkner come in? Here comes Clen. So Clen is into the pits. See Faulkner staying out as well as Matty Pitt. So these two going to stay out and maybe go for an overcut here. Clen, as the race leader, has gone for the undercut here, which is interesting, because it's usually the case. You see that the driver in the lead will be the last to pit, but obviously I suppose he's trying to cover it up, isn't he? He's probably thinking the same thing. He's probably thinking, what if they come in on this lap? So Clen's covered off any possibility there of these guys undercutting him. And yeah, he's now back out onto the circuit. In the meantime, Matty Pitt has taken the lead off of C. Faulkner with the DRS. But this is going to be a battle. These two are just going to stick together at the moment. But what they need to do is they need to try and make sure they don't hold each other up too much, because Clen is probably going to get the undercut on them, unless he makes a mistake on his outlap, which would mean that these two will come up probably about a second or two behind. They might be a little bit further behind Clen than what they were before. Here comes Steve Faulkner anyway, down the straight towards Ascari, and he's made that move easily with the DRS. And as I said before, that straight line speed there in that Racing Bulls is absolutely insane. And he's gone and made it happen again here. Steve Faulkner's done a quick lap as well this time around with that DRS, so might have a chance to potentially be quite close to Clen here if he comes in this lap. Or is he going to go long and go for a bit of a tyre delta here, which will give him an advantage in the second stint. It'll also mean he loses more time here because he'll be out for longer on worn tyres. Here he comes, coming into the pits now. So here comes Faulkner. Matty Pitt staying out and going for the overcut. Is Matty Pitt going to try and go long and put a set of softs on for the final stint? Wouldn't surprise me, but at the same time it would be a very risky strategy. Then again, he's a little way behind in the championship, so maybe it might be a bit of a roll of the dice here for Matty Pitt, our reigning champion here for the Purple Sector F1 League. Nonetheless, C. Faulkner is off and away. Where's Clen? Clen is coming on the start-finish straight, and he's done it easily there. He's cleared him by a very comfortable margin indeed. So Glenn there coming into turn 1. There's C Faulkner about 2 seconds behind, albeit on 1 lap fresher tyres. Oh, a bit of a slide there from C Faulkner. My goodness me, that was a little bit scary there. But C Faulkner 3 seconds behind Glenn, 1 lap fresher tyres. Will make a small difference, probably about a tenth a lap. I would have thought that would make a difference. So not massive, but he needs to stay where he is. He needs to try and keep himself close, because Glenn could get a penalty. There's a long way to go in this race. C Faulkner's just got to keep his head in the game here. But Matty Pitt coming down the back straight here towards Parabolica once again, as we're nearing the halfway point in this Italian Grand Prix at the Purple Sector Formula 1 League. And Matty Pitt coming out of the final corner here. Does he pit this time? He does pit this time. Matty Pitt steaming into the pit lane. And let's see what he's able to do here. How quick was his in lap here? Because he was running on his own, so he could have really got a hammer down. Glenn here coming over the line. Matty Pitt coming just to the end of the pit lane now. I think he's going to be overtaken by definitely Glenn. Now, where's Matty Pitt come out in all this? I think he's going to be behind C Faulkner, is he? It's going to be close. Yep, Faulkner's got him. Faulkner's got him up into second, or a net second, because Street Boy's currently running in second place on those medium tyres. Now, I wonder if Street Boy is going to try and put the softs on for the final stint, because he stayed out an abnormally long time on these medium tyres. So if he can get to about lap 17, he might fancy putting the softs on for the final stint. And then he might have a bit more pace than the driver ahead. In that final stint, we'll have to see. But at the moment, it's Glenn, your race leader, by nearly 4 seconds now ahead of C Faulkner, so looking a lot more comfortable in this phase of the race. Interestingly to know as well, Davidoff has got the jump on Matty, so Davidoff's up into 4th, and I believe that's a representative position as well. I'm pretty sure it is, yeah. Davidoff got the undercut, a massive undercut on Matty Pitt, and he's actually played himself potentially into the battle here for the win, because Davidoff is now less than 4 seconds off for the leader, Glenn. So, all being well for Davidoff, if he can clear Faulkner quickly, he might have a chance to go after Glenn here, because Davidoff has been on a comeback trail throughout the course of this race. Saying that, though, he is on slightly worn out hards compared to the others. Glenn's got 2 lap fresher tyres on him. Faulkner's got 3 lap fresher tyres. Matty Pitt's got 4 lap fresher tyres. So Davidoff's going to really need to grit his teeth and get on with this in the final stint of the race. It can be a massive psychological advantage to have faster tyres or fresher tyres than the car in front of you or behind you, because you notice the subtleties, you notice the small differences coming out of the corners, the ease that you're able to come out of those corners compared to the driver on more worn tyres. But nonetheless, Davidoff here applying the pressure on the back of C Faulkner. C Faulkner's got DRS on Street Boy. That will keep him in good stead here coming down the back straight. So the Street Boy plays fair here, because he knows on different strategy here, so hasn't really got much to play for at the moment. As Davidoff can look to the inside into Ascari. Street Boy there, very sportsmanlike, moves well out of the way there, and the guys make their way through. And Matty Pitt, I was saying he was being sportsmanlike, he's just gone and absolutely screwed Matty Pitt there. Matty Pitt can hopefully make the move here down towards the Parabolica, but Matty Pitt absolutely coming off way worse in that one, as they come out of the final corner here. C Faulkner just ahead of Davidoff, as they're now getting onto the power here, onto the start finish straight once again. Davidoff is surely going to fancy his chances here on the back of C Faulkner. They're losing time to the race leader Glenn as we speak. DRS now for the Williams driver of Davidoff. Coming down towards the first chicane once again. Matty Pitt has now cleared Street Boy into 4th place. Oh, it's C Faulkner there going wide, coming out of turn 1 onto the gravel a little bit there. That would have cost him a tad of momentum, as Davidoff here getting closer and closer and closer down towards the Delaware chicane. Just a little bit too far away this time. But he'll have DRS out of Lesmo 2 down towards Ascari. That will be a good opportunity here for Davidoff. It'll probably allow him to get a little bit closer. I don't think he's going to make the move from here, but for sure it will increase the pressure on the back of C Faulkner. And I think that out of the 3 guys I think Matty Pitt's kind of dropped out of it a little bit now. I think that out of C. Faulkner and Davidoff, I think Davidoff's got the best chance of taking this fight to Glenn for the race win. With 12 laps left to go and they get 4 seconds, that is doable for Davidoff. We've seen him pull off feats like this before. As we come out of the final corner here, this is surely going to be Davidoff moving through up into second place in a few moments' time. You would have thought here in the slipstream with the DRS as well. Now that Williams is closing on the back of the Racing Bulls. Here we go. He's going to surely go to the inside here. No, he goes to the outside. He was concerned that C. Faulkner may cover that off. He's gone around the outside here as Davidoff. He gets it turned in beautifully there around the outside of turn 1. And the place where he made the mistake on the first lap of the race where he went wide. No mistakes this time around for Davidoff. He's into second place. He can now try and chase down the race leader Glenn. The gap's under 4 seconds with 11 laps left to go. Is that going to be on the bingo card for Davidoff here in the remainder of this race? Let's wait and see. As we see, Mark moved ahead of Street Boy up into 7th place. Street Boy with a 3-second penalty has come in for tyres. Tyres he put on, actually, that could be interesting. Soft tyres, yeah. I thought he might be going for the soft tyres, because Street Boy, he always goes long on a set of mediums or sometimes a set of hards. But yeah, he always does, he almost always does a medium soft strategy. So yeah, it's very unusual not to see him do that. Yeah, he pushes those tyres to a point where I think they must be going slower than what they would be if he'd just done the conventional sim, but he makes it work anyway. But nonetheless, Glenn is coming over the line here to start lap 18 of the race. 10 laps left to go here in this Italian Grand Prix. They got just over 4 seconds here to Davidoff and C. Faulkner, so they're not really making an impression here. Davidoff, I think, has pushed too hard to try and pull out that gap to C. Faulkner and has made a mistake. And that's allowed C. Faulkner to get back up into second place here. So these two continuing to trade places as we're approaching the final third of this race. So I think this is going to be a battle for best of the rest here. I think Glenn should have this one sewn up, barring any major catastrophes in the final part of this race. So this is the battle then. Davidoff here, close on the back of C. Faulkner. No DRS down towards Cedar chicane, mainly because the Curva Grande, although it's an easy flat out, not even a corner, without DRS, I think DRS could potentially be the the poison that particular antidote would be looking for, or rather, it wouldn't be an antidote at that point, but you know what I mean. So yeah, it's probably not a great idea to have DRS through there. Anyway, Davidoff here, still on the back of C. Faulkner as they're coming down the back straight here. He'll have DRS down the main straight in a few moments' time, so should be able to return the favour that C. Faulkner did on him this time a lap ago, as long as he keeps himself close here, coming out of the parabolica. Yeah, he's very close here. Surely it's going to be a role reversal of the previous lap. Here comes Davidoff, closing. Look at that speed. He got a way better exit out of parabolica, and that's going to be P2 for Davidoff. And once again, these two swapping places here. Oh, as that was a hiccup, do apologise for that. Matty Pitt, in the meantime, running in 4th place, has got a 3-second penalty, but he's well ahead of anybody else behind him and not really figuring in this battle for second either, so I think it's going to be a lonesome final stint here for Matty Pitt, who will most likely, barring any simply monumental incidents, finish in P4. But nonetheless, Davidoff and C. Faulkner are still battling over second place right now. Their gap to Glenn still 4 seconds, so they're still maintaining the gap despite battling. I think Glenn might just be taking it easy at this point, looking after the tyres, making sure he doesn't make any mistakes. He's got everything to lose at this point, so needs to avoid any foolish little escapades. So Street Boy is closing up onto the back of Mark here, 7th place. 3 seconds is obviously Street Boy's number of penalties at the moment, so that's going to be potentially costly at the end of the race, because even if he were to get ahead of Mark right now, he'd need to not only be ahead of him, he'd need to also put out 3 seconds of a gap to him before we get to the checkered flag, so that could be potentially troublesome here for Street Boy, as they nonetheless come through the parabolica once again here. Street Boy a bit too far away. Oh my goodness me! Almost ran into the back of Mark there. Into turn one, was really steaming up towards the back of him there, but nothing doing at the moment. Which is, I suppose, Mark would probably be thankful for that. And Street Boy, I would have thought as well, because he's currently on course to score 4 points. That would be 2 points if he would drop behind T. He's currently running in 9th place here with 13 seconds worth of penalties as well. But yeah, we got Davidoff nonetheless still running a second ahead of T Faulkner. They got, is it just under a second here? Could be actually, you know, might be quite close. Let's see. Well, yeah, it could be actually, you know, that's quite close. Yeah, he's definitely closing in here. So C Faulkner now, it's bit within about 8 tenths of a second as he coming towards turn one. So definitely got the benefit of some DRS there. And yeah, the moment Davidoff still holding on to that one, but yeah, C Faulkner definitely giving him something to worry about at this point, has to be said. Clen's still got a gap of quite nicely, about 4 seconds over these guys, but they're continuing to just keep each other occupied at the moment in second and third places. Well ahead of Matty Pitt, who's currently 4 seconds behind them, running in 4th place. Obviously, we mentioned that 3 second penalty, which will certainly bite him on the bottom by the time we get to the end of the race. But Mark seems to have extended the gap a little bit to Street Boy over the last lap or so. I think that maybe Street Boy's soft tyres are now starting to just feel the pain a little bit here, and that'll be giving Mark a little bit of a respite here in this battle for P7. Got double Joe Flies coming through sector 3, so I'm not quite sure what those are for at the moment. Yeah, no real indicators here. Nothing really jumping out at me as potentially problematic. We see Rexy Boy there has made the move on Oliver into Parabolica, but Oliver's going to get DRS, is he? Or was Rexy Boy behind? And they went over the detection point. It must have been close. Who's going to have DRS here down the straight? It's going to be Oliver. So Oliver's going to get closer and closer and closer and surely make this move on Rexy Boy. Obviously, it's very unlikely that Oliver will finish ahead of Rexy Boy, even if he gets ahead of him on track, because of the fact that he has got a 16-second penalty. But nonetheless, it's going to give it a good go, you would have thought. As we come through the Curva Grande once again, but a little bit too far away as we come into the De La Roche chicane. Having a little look to the inside, trying to put Rex Boy under a bit of pressure here. But nothing doing there for the time being. Although, I've got to tell you, the yellow flags a lap ago could have been there's something to do with this man here, because the gap has come down by about a second over the course of this lap, albeit he's extended it by a couple of tenths since then. So Clen out the front, potentially just running into a couple of mishaps, maybe. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, you can tell I just want an exciting race, can't you? The fact that I'm getting excited about this, but nonetheless, C Faulkner on the back of Davidoff here coming down the start-finish straight, and he breezes past him with the DRS like he's not even there. That's going to allow C Faulkner to close in on the race. If these two can keep towing each other along and keep slingshotting each other down that main straight, they could potentially work together here to try and close the gap here to Clen. Again, I've got nothing against Clen, but I'd love to see a battle for the lead in the last couple of laps. That would be absolutely splendid if we could see that. But I'm not getting my hopes up. I don't want to act like a sport child. At the end of the day, I'm happy if we don't. I'm okay if we don't. Don't get me wrong. But I just love it. It'd just be nice. It'd just be nice. But it's alright. It's alright. I'm not going to get upset. There's more important things in life to throw your toys out of the pram about. This is not one of them. I'm a big believer in picking your battles. But nonetheless, guys, come on, make it happen. In the meantime, we've got Oliver on the back of Rexy Boy here, battling over P5 and 6. As obviously with the 16-second penalty for Oliver, it will somewhat derail his chances of getting into the top 5. But nonetheless, I'm sure he'd love to do it on the track and walk away from the Autodromo di Nazionale Monza with the bragging rights of having finished 5th on the track, as he looks to the inside there into the Ascari chicane, a little bit too far away that time around. Saying that though, he's got a lovely run here, coming down the back straight here as he's. Oh my goodness me! So I forgot how to change view. How do I change? I forgot how to do it. My mind's gone blank. How do I change view? I thought it was triangle. What's going on? Oh, it's R1. Sorry, I do apologise. Sorry, my brain just had a complete meltdown there. I just completely lost. Do apologise for that. In the meantime, yeah, Oliver's still on the back of Rexable here, so hasn't been able to make that move just yet. But yeah, sorry about that. I just completely lost. My memory just completely went for a second there. I just completely lost track of what was the button to change the view on the broadcast. It's quite a bizarre moment there, I have to say. Nonetheless, the gap at the front between Glenn and Davidoff from C14 has gone up. It's now over 4 seconds again, so Glenn, after that little moment a few laps to go, has certainly got things back on track, literally and figuratively. But Rexy Boy turns in Oliver there. Might have been a bit over ambitious, to be fair. I don't think that was really Rexy Boy's fault. Oliver there ghosting through Ascari, and that's given Mark P6. What a shame there for Oliver. Poked his nose up the inside into Ascari. Was just, I think, speed differential was the problem there. The fact that they were coming at the corner at different speeds. Oliver had tried to go down the brakes while Rexy Boy was carrying the speed around the outside. And obviously, when you've got two cars going at very different speeds and they make contact, the car going slower invariably is the one that comes off worse on this F124 game. So Oliver there down to 7th place as a result of that. Meantime, Davidoff here getting closer to the back of C4 once again. They're coming into Ascari here on lap 25 of the race. So he's got a bit of a run here down towards the Parabolica. He'll look to get a good exit here coming out of the Parabolica if he can. He'll definitely have a good chance here coming down the start-finish straight. So here we come then, out of the final corner. Davidoff will have DRS down this straight. Got 4/10 as they come over the line. Here he goes then, Davidoff getting closer and closer and closer. Is he going to fancy a lunge here up the inside? He's going to go for it. There we go. Davidoff makes the move there into 2nd place once again. But you can bet C14 will be keeping himself close. Oh, C14 a bit of a mistake there coming out of turn 1. And that may have just cost him here the chance to come back, and he's still right there. He's still not far away. This could be a battle. It could go down to the very last lap here between these two for 2nd place here in this Italian Grand Prix at the Purple Sector Formula 1 League here, season 12, round 16 of this 24 race season. We've got Street Boy there moving ahead of Oliver, so Oliver has come into the pits for damage repairs, I would have thought. There he is, into the box. And that's FIA rules in favour of Rex there. He defo gave the room. Yeah, I have to say, I think Oliver was a bit over-ambitious down the inside. Ascari's a medium-speed corner where it's basically the mid part of the corner is single file anyway, so I don't know what he was expecting to do. At the end of the day, the car on the outside there has that extra speed. So yeah, it was a foolish move, but in a way, it's an instinctive move, because ultimately in that situation when you're on the inside and you see a corner, you want to dive down the inside. You want to be first to the apex and put the car on the outside in that jeopardy. But yeah, I think it wasn't necessary. But anyway, C14 has moved back ahead of Davidoff here into turn 1. So this is at the battle for 2nd place. It's going to rage round to the very last sector, I think, of this final lap. So who's going to get 2nd place here in this race? Glenn out the front has done the business here in this one. He's driven an absolutely superb Grand Prix, just like he did on Tuesday night in Zandvoort. And I think it's going to be one step closer. So what's looking like he must be the favourite for the championship at this point. Davidoff, though, limiting the damage here in 2nd place. Has got back ahead of C14. And saying that, C14 is going to have DRS down this straight towards Ascari. Who is going to get second place? C. Faulkner with the DRS. Davidoff's going to have to defend to the inside as C. Faulkner's closing and closing and closing, and Davidoff leaves the door open, but he's going to be on the outside, the favourable line into Ascari. Davidoff holds on to that one. C. Faulkner's going to look to try and get the run here down towards the Parabolica, but I think Davidoff should be okay. No DRS down towards the Parabolica, as here they come then on this final lap of the race. I think Davidoff's going to be okay. Here comes Klen through the final corner. What's going to happen here between these two? Davidoff staying ahead for the time being, but Klen up towards the line is going to take the win in the Italian Grand Prix at the Purple Sector Formula 1 League for season 12, round 16, and it's going to be Davidoff to take second place here ahead of C. Faulkner. What a drive, what a battle between those two. Matty Pitt's going to come over to take fourth place here in the end, a little way behind the leaders. But what a fight here between these two. I have to say, Davidoff there did brilliantly to come from 9th at the end of the first lap to second by the end of the race. What a drive from him. Rexy Boy coming out of the Parabolica here for the final time, and it's going to be P5 here for Rexy Boy, just ahead of Mark, who's going to cross the line here to take home P6 in the end. Then we got T, who's just coming through the Parabolica now, and it's going to be 7th place here for T. Up towards the line comes T. There we go. Street Boy comes over in 8th place. In fact, no, Street Boy gets 7th on the penalty, so Street Boy 7th, T 8th. And Oliver here coming down towards the Parabolica for the final time in this race. And Oliver here will get 2 points for his troubles due to the not the greatest of turnouts here tonight. So yeah, Oliver comes over to take P9. But that is the lot then. Glenn taking the victory here tonight in this Italian Grand Prix at the Purple Sector Formula 1 League. Excellent driving there from Claire, extending the championship lead. He's going to have a formidable lead in the championship after tonight, I would have thought. So well done to Glenn, taking his second win of the week. It's been a clean sweep here for Glenn in week 8 of this season. So yeah, Glenn is going to have a decisive lead in the championship. 45 or 46 points, obviously excluding fastest laps. Who got the fastest lap? It was Oliver. So yeah, 45 points the gap is going to be coming into the final third of the season. 8 races left here at Purple Sector, 4 weeks to go until F1 25. So yeah, stay tuned for the rest of the season, guys. It's going to be epic. Make sure you join us next Tuesday at 8 PM UK time for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix live from Baku, and then on Thursday, if you can't make Tuesday, we're back on Thursday as well for the Singapore Grand Prix from the Marina Bay Street Circuit. Also, if you want to tune into Motive, then there will be a race on Monday for the Red Arrows Racing League. They'll be live at 8 PM UK time, and that race will be at Algarve, Portugal, Portimao for that one. So yeah, we'll see you all very soon. Take it easy. Cheers, G.C. Appreciate you. And yeah, we'll see you all soon. See you later, Rocky. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.